The story of Elisha and the two bears is a brief yet intriguing account found in the Bible, specifically in 2 Kings 23 to 25. To expand this story into a detailed and long narrative, I will weave in historical context, character development, and imaginative elements to create a more immersive experience. The journey of Elisha, the prophet's test of faith. Chapter 1. The prophet's ascension. Elisha, the disciple of the great prophet Elijah, had recently witnessed one of the most extraordinary events of his life. His mentor, Elijah, had been taken up to heaven in a whirlwind, leaving behind his mantle the symbol of his prophetic authority. As Elisha watched the chariots of fire and the whirlwind carry Elijah away, he knew that his life was about to change forever. He was now the leader of Israel's prophets, responsible for guiding the people in their faith and ensuring they remained devoted to Yahweh. Elisha had already performed a few miracles, such as parting the waters of the Jordan River and purify the waters of Jericho. However, his faith and resolve were soon to be tested in an unexpected way. Chapter 2. The path to Bethel. One day, Elisha decided to journey to Bethel, a city known for its historical significance. Bethel was once a sacred site where Jacob, the patriarch, had a vision of a ladder reaching to heaven. However, over the years, Bethel had become a center of idolatry, with the people worshiping golden calves and other pagan idols. Elisha knew that he had to confront the spiritual decay of Bethel. As he walked along the dusty road leading to the city, he reflected on the challenges ahead. The people of Bethel were stubborn and rebellious, and many had turned away from the worship of the true God. Chapter 3. The mockery of the youths. As Elisha approached Bethel, a group of young boys and teenagers spotted him. These youths were not merely children playing by the roadside. They were products of a society that had rejected the teachings of Yahweh. Their minds were filled with contempt for anything holy, and they had been taught to scorn the prophets of God. Seeing Elisha, the youths began to jeer and mock him. "Go up, you bald head, go up, you bald head," they shouted, referring to Elijah's ascension and taunting Elisha to do the same. The insult was not just about Elisha's physical appearance, but was a rejection of his prophetic authority. They were essentially saying, "Why don't you disappear like your master? We don't need you here." Elisha stopped and turned to face the mocking crowd. His heart was heavy with sorrow, not for himself, but for the spiritual blindness of these youths. He knew that their behavior was a reflection of the deeper corruption that had taken root in Bethel. Chapter 4. The Judgment. In that moment, Elisha was filled with righteous indignation. He knew that he had to make a stand, not for his own sake, but to show the people of Bethel that their rejection of God would not go unpunished. He called upon the name of the Lord and pronounced a curse on the youths. Suddenly, from the nearby forest, 2 large she-bears emerged. The animals, driven by a force beyond their understanding, charged at the group of mocking youths. The bears mauled 42 of them, leaving the survivors to flee in terror. The attack was swift and terrifying, a divine judgment that left no doubt about the seriousness of the offense. The people of Bethel would not soon forget the day when their children faced the wrath of the Almighty for their blasphemy. Chapter 5. The Aftermath. News of the incident spread quickly throughout Bethel and beyond. The story of the two bears became a warning to all who would dare to mock the servants of God. Elisha's reputation as a prophet was solidified, and the people of Israel were reminded of the power and holiness of the God they serve. Elisha continued his journey, his heart heavy with the knowledge that the people of Bethel were still far from repentance. Yet he also knew that his mission was far from over. There were many more challenges ahead, many more battles to fight for the soul of Israel. Chapter 6. Reflection. In the quiet moments of his journey, Elisha reflected on the events at Bethel. He did not take pleasure in the death of the youths, but he understood the necessity of the judgment. The people needed to see the consequences of their actions, and sometimes those consequences were harsh. Elisha prayed for the people of Bethel, asking God to soften their hearts and lead them back to the true faith. He knew that his role as a prophet was not just to perform miracles or pronounce judgments, but to guide the people with compassion and wisdom. Chapter 7. The Legacy. The story of Elisha and the two bears became a part of Israel's collective memory. It was a tale told by parents to their children, a reminder of the dangers of mocking the sacred and the importance of respecting God's messengers. For Elisha, the incident at Bethel was just one chapter in his long and eventful ministry. He would go on to perform many more miracles, including raising the dead, healing the sick, and defeating enemy armies. Yet the memory of the two bears would always stay with him, a reminder of the weight of his prophetic calling. In time, the people of Bethel would begin to turn back to God, their hearts softened by the memory of that fateful day. Elisha's prayers were answered, not in the way he expected, but in the gradual transformation of a once expanded narrative provides a deeper look into the brief story of Elisha and the two bears, adding context and character development to enrich the tale.